Criminal defense lawyer explains. What to say when police question your cash? Let me ask you something important. If a police officer pulled you over right now and noticed cash in your car, would you know exactly what to say? Most people don't. And that single mistake is costing drivers thousands of dollars every single day. What starts as a routine traffic stop can quietly turn into a financial nightmare. Not because you broke the law, but because you talk too much. Today, I'm going to show you exactly how people lose their cash during traffic stops, why explaining yourself often backfires, and the simple sentence that can protect your money when an officer starts asking questions. This is not about being rude. It's not about hiding anything. It's about knowing how the law actually works in the real world. By the end of this video, you'll know what to say, what not to say, and how to walk away with your money instead of fighting to get it back months later. Before we begin, take a second to like the video and subscribe. This channel focuses on real legal protection, not internet myths. Let's get into it. Part 1. The most common mistake people make when an officer sees cash in your vehicle. The most natural reaction is to explain. You might say, I just got paid. I sold something. I withdrew it from a bank. I'm self-employed. That feels reasonable. After all, honest people explain things, right? Here's the problem. The moment you explain, you stop being protected and start being investigated. Police are trained to listen for details, not to clear you, but to evaluate whether your story can be questioned. You don't need to lie to create suspicion. You just need to hesitate. Forget a name, miss a detail, pause too long. That's enough. Now, the officer has something called articulable suspicion, which opens the door to deeper questioning, prolonged detention, and eventually seizure of your cash. What felt like being helpful just became evidence. And once that happens, your money is no longer treated like your property. It becomes a suspected instrument of crime. That's when people lose thousands without ever being arrested. Part 2. How civil asset forfeiture really works. This is where most people get blindsided. There's a legal process called civil asset forfeiture. Under this system, police do not need to charge you with a crime to take your money. Let me say that again clearly. Backhand index pointing right, no arrest. Backhand index pointing right, no conviction. Backhand index pointing right, no charges required. If an officer claims your cash is connected to criminal activity, they can seize it on the spot. Once seized, the burden flips. Instead of the government proving guilt, you must prove your money is clean. That means filing legal paperwork, hiring an attorney, meeting strict deadlines. Appearing in court, many people simply give up because legal fees exceed the cash taken. This system was designed to target large criminal organizations. But in reality, it often hits ordinary drivers during traffic stops. And the trigger for many of these seizures? Backhand index pointing right, talking too much. Part 3. The sentence that protects your money. So what should you say when an officer asks about your cash? Here it is. Say it calmly. Say it clearly. I prefer not to answer questions. That's it. No explanation. No story. No justification. This sentence does 3 powerful things. 1. It legally invokes your right to remain silent. 2. It stops the fishing expedition. 3. It prevents you from creating evidence against yourself. You are not being uncooperative. You are not being suspicious. You are exercising a constitutional right. And contrary to popular belief, officers cannot punish you for this. You don't need to add anything. You don't need to sound defensive. You don't need to apologize. Just say it and stop talking. Part 4. When the officer pushes back, here's what often happens next. The officer responds with, "Why won't you answer? If you're innocent, you shouldn't have a problem. I'm just trying to help you." This is psychological pressure, not legal authority. Your response should be simple and steady. I'm respectfully exercising my right to remain silent. That's it. Do not argue. Do not explain. Do not get emotional. Officers document behavior. Calm, confident silence looks very different from nervous talking. When you stay composed, it becomes much harder for an officer to justify escalation later. Part 5. The consent trap once questioning stalls. Officers often change tactics. They'll ask, "Mind if I take a look? Can I count the money?" This will only take a second. This is a consent trap. If you say yes, you just authorize a search. And once consent is given, anything found can be used, context can be created, seizure becomes easier. To justify your response must be clear. I do not consent to any searches. Say it once. Repeat it if necessary. You do not need to argue law. You do not need to explain why. Silence plus refusal protects you far more than cooperation ever will. Part 6. If they search or seize anyway sometimes, officers search anyway. If that happens, stay calm, do not interfere, do not argue on the roadside instead. Do this. Ask for a seizure receipt. They must document what was taken, why it was taken, who took it, then contact an attorney immediately. Deadlines to challenge seizures are often very short, sometimes just days. Your earlier refusal to consent becomes critical evidence later. Here's the bottom line. Talking feels safe, but silence protects you. Explaining feels honest, but it creates risk. Consent feels harmless, but it opens doors you can't close. When police question your cash, remember, stay calm, say less, assert your rights. Clearly the roadside is not the place to win arguments. Court is. If this video helped you, like it, subscribe, and share it with someone who needs to hear it. Because knowing what to say and what not to say can protect everything you've worked for. Stay safe.